At 9:35 a.m., we continue with the broadcast this morning, and it is the time of the year with the academic year, with the university year, and we've seen in the last few years, right at the beginning of the year, we've seen students protests taking place for various reasons. And last week, we touched on some of the issues that have been playing out in KwaZulu Natal. But we've now learned about Wits University students protesting over funding, and there are a number of issues that students have raised. And this morning, we are joined by the spokesperson from Wits University. We're joined by Shirona Patel. Shirona, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Morning, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shirona, looking at what has been playing out at Wits University now. This is nothing new. In recent years, we've become quite used to the idea of students protesting for a variety of reasons. We know the fees must fall. That was one of the major protests that we actually have seen. But looking at Wits University, where we are at this point in time, a number of issues that are being raised, and more so about funding.
Yeah, so I mean, let me just comment on that. So, funding is an issue in South Africa. It's a national issue. And I think that it's one that wasn't sufficiently sorted out during Prisma's 4. So, yes, we looked after people who could afford to pay up until 600,000 with a household income of 600,000 or less. But the missing middle is still not catered for until today. And they were the biggest problem that universities like UCT or last year we didn't have any protests on campus. In fact, I think for the last 2 years we haven't had any protests, largely because we've been working with the SRCs and in partnership to raise funds. This year we gave 150 million rand in scholarship and bursary, over and above 28 million rand for.
Shirona, can I just ask you to move around slightly? We are losing you a bit.
Okay. Therefore, so this year we 115 million rand for scholarships and bursaries, another 28 million rand for students who are in need of emergency accommodation or to register, and then 6 million rand was brought in by the SRC, which the university matched. That gives us in total 190 million rand in student funding that we put forward just from the business budget, not from sponsor anymore. And we just can't do any more. The key demands that are being forward this year is that the NSFAS cap on accommodation, which is currently 45,000 rand a year per student, that be raised. And we're speaking to NSFAS about that, but that's not our decision to make. We have come to an agreement with our private service accommodation providers. They've agreed to the 45,000 rand cap. We've also got emergency beds. 350 have been made available from the private sector, and that's for any student in need, whether whether they need a place to stay. Those are libraries, labs, etc. And then where the sticking point is the SRT. We've helped 500 students who have historic 6,000 or so, which was accumulated over the years. The SRT is now demanding that we allow anyone who's got any debt to the university, some are 300,000, 400,000, allow them onto the program. Now, you may ask, how do people accumulate such debt? It's some students who come into university for a year or two, they fail 2 years, they lose their NSFAS funding, they then move to another course in the university. They do 2 years there, they're not passing, they're coming, like, how they're getting amount of debt, or they buy or their accommodation is really expensive, which is not affordable for them, and they don't have the funds to pay for it. They're not demanding that the university pays for that. And we're just saying, when above 190 million rand that we put forward, we can't put forward any more money. If we do so, we'll just make that unsustainable. We'll become an ESCOM in a few years' time then.
Sharona, just looking at the university and its obligation to the students, are you obliged to provide accommodation?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. The university is, we get a subsidy from government for tuition fees for about one third of the students' tuition fees. About one third comes from student fees itself, and about one third is what stream income from donors and other people. So no, we are not obliged to do that, but universities are now expected in current times to provide accommodation, to tuition, to provide food, to provide transport, and anything toiletries to personal care. And this is an unusual and a hefty burden on universities. We do our best to fundraise and to help where we can, but sometimes government just makes up a policy like this 45,000 put that all into it.
Yes, Sharona, I think we are losing you slightly. I know there are connection issues, there are network issues that seem to be playing out. Just looking at it from a safety point of view of students who are not protesting, is the university providing some sort of protection to students who are not protesting?
So this morning is extremely quiet. We brought that at all the entrance and exit points and around all the theaters. So we're pretty much on track this morning. We've had no disruptions this morning. Yesterday we had two classes which were disrupted, and within half an hour, the students were back in the class. We must remember that we've got maybe 100 to 150 students who are disrupting classes out of a total of about 37,500. So it's a small minority. Many of these are not students who are registered anyway. And so we're just trying to manage the situation. Today we go ahead with the academic program as scheduled.
Well, we certainly will watch your space, but Sharona, we say Jazakallah to you for taking time out and providing us with that update this morning. All the best to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi.
Shirona Patel was us this morning with spokesperson. We need to apologize for the quality of the sound, but yes, in recent times, I think many of us have quite used to the idea of having bad networks, and all of this at the end of the day affecting the towers, affecting batteries, and this is load shedding. And this is exactly what the power problem in this country is doing, affecting us in more ways than one. We're going to go for a break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Ongama and Timka, and we're talking about the Pala Pala report, the application that was thrown out by the Constitutional Court.